Facebook Fridays. I'm going to start doing Facebook Lives on Fridays. So I just sent out an email this morning using an infographic that my lovely assistant Carla had put together regarding the ROI of employee engagement. And a lot of times leaders have a hard time understanding the power of engagement because they see it as fluffy or abstract. It's hard to measure. But there is a ton of research out there that does find engaged employees are much more productive. They're more loyal, all that kind of stuff. So just for example, some of the numbers that were in the infographic that we sent out this morning, engaged employees are 87% less likely to leave the organizations. Leave an organization. Organizations with engaged employees outperform those with low employee engagement by 202%. So there is a ton of numbers out there where people are really trying to understand the value of engagement. So engagement is about discretionary effort. If essentially all the time, minute by minute, second by second, all of your employees have the ability to choose how much effort they want to put into something. So for example, we all have to do tasks at work that we're really not, we don't find enjoyable. So we don't put in maximum effort. We don't enjoy it. We don't want to do it. We do it to get it done and then we can move on. Versus when you're doing an exercise or an activity that you really enjoy, you're probably providing maximum discretionary effort. You're making the choice to give it your all. So the idea behind employee engagement is, of course, you're never going to get 100% of employees to be 100% engaged all day, every second of every day. But the more you focus on engagement, the more likely you are to increase discretionary effort among your employees or increase their decision to use all of their effort when they're working for you in your company. So I just had an interesting story happen to me a couple weeks ago as well, and was kind of venting to my two staff members here and thought I'd share it with you as well. It has to do with numbers. So I had an HR professional contact me a couple weeks ago, and she was looking for assistance on solving their culture problem. They had a pretty negative culture, and interestingly, she had said a lot of their negative culture had stemmed from all of the political stuff that we've been going through. So she said, for example, one core group of 3 women who'd been friends forever, worked together forever, had divided. One of them really thought Trump should be president. The other 2 really thought Hillary should be president, and that divide has maintained, and they've had a hard time working together. But that was just one example. So she's seen just the culture kind of fall away all around her ever since we were voting last year. So anyway, she contacted me to ask for some help on culture change. I told her it looked like a good place to start would be to do a survey. So I put together a proposal to do a survey to understand what was going on in their culture, and then we could move forward in making changes. Well, she presented this survey proposal to her boss, and the boss came back and said, you know what, I want to do a survey, I want to address the culture, but the one problem is I am aware that my own secretary is the worst perpetrator. So this leader knows that his own secretary is essentially a bully. She's not a nice person. She makes a lot of people uncomfortable. And so he said, if I do the survey, I have to fix her, and I don't want to have to do that. I don't want to ruffle her feathers. I would suspect this leader is maybe even a little bit afraid of his secretary. And so he just said, never mind. I don't want to do the survey because I know that if I do it, I'm then going to have to address my secretary. And so I get this news, and I told the HR professional, well, instead of doing the survey first, maybe we should start by resolving this hiccup. Let me do some coaching with this one secretary. Let's address her behavior first, and then do the survey. And then you can move forward on culture change. And so I sent over a proposal to do the coaching for this one person so we could remove the hiccup and then proceed with culture change. And the secretary almost immediately, the HR professional almost immediately emailed me back and said, we would never spend that much money on one person. And I just was fascinated by that and emailed her back and suggested that this was not spending money on just one person. It was spending money on the entire organization. If we can't address the culture problem for 60 employees, that's how big this organization is. If we can't address the culture problem for 60 employees because of one person, let's address that one person, and then we can move forward and make everyone else's life better. And so it just fascinating way to look at it that she responded and said, we can't spend that much money on one person. And in my mind, it wasn't just one person, it was the whole organization. So in my email to her, I also provided some numbers, and what I did was let her know that there are two famous researchers, Charlotte Rayner and Laura Lee Keishley, and Charlotte Rayner's in the UK, Laura Lee Keishley's in the United States. They did a research article where they essentially put out there that they believe in an organization of 1,000 people, one bully would cost that organization $1 million in turnover, reduced discretionary effort, presenteeism, absenteeism, workers' comp claims, all of these things. And that number does not include litigation. So in an organization of 1,000 people, one bully would cost about $1 million. And so I broke that down for this HR professional, and I said, if you have an organization of 60 people, and I have to look at my math because I'm not the greatest, in an organization of 60 people, if we're using that same number, we could say that this one secretary then is costing the organization $60,000 a year. And here I'd sent a proposal for something much less than that number, and that if you were willing to spend that number, you'd save all of the rest, and then moving forward in the next years, you'd save 60 grand a year, because this person's behavior would be different. And then if we were able to change the culture, you'd even have an even better bottom line. In the end, we're supposed to talk next week, so we'll see what happens. But I just kind of wanted to put that out there because I'm always so fascinated when people get a price tag on culture change or building engagement, and they immediately go, we couldn't spend that. And that reaction comes from the fact that employee engagement does feel so abstract and intangible. But it is tangible. It can be measured. You can absolutely see effects from it. There is so much research out there that proves that it's tangible, and that there are numbers that you can attach to this seemingly abstract topic. So anyway, that's my rant for today. Just wanted to share my story. And remember, if you have one person, even just one person who's a bully, they are disrupting your entire office and they are costing you money. And so if you're thinking we couldn't coach this person or spend money on this person because we can't spend that on just one person, remember that it's not just one person that money is for. You're investing in your entire organization and your bottom line and your customers. So thanks for listening, and I'll see you next Friday. Bye. Oh, gotta turn it off.